2026 UAE4 Series opening round continues here at Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi, the nation's capital of the United Arab Emirates. Yesterday we had a fantastic opener that saw Alexander Bondarev take victory from pole position in flamboyant fashion. Now we go into race 2. It's a reverse grid battle, so the top 12 finishes from race 1 yesterday will now be reversed. Provisionally, that means we'll see Niccolò Macagnani and Emily Cotti on the front row of the grid. So it's Mumbai Falcons versus RHGP all over again. What's going to happen? Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the action here at Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. It has been a fantastic start to the UAE4 Series. Yesterday was a very exciting contest up at the front. From pole position to the victory, though, Alexander Bondarev of Ukraine was invincible in the Mumbai Falcons car. He's not going to have it quite so easy in race 2 because, of course, the second race of the weekend in UAE4 is a reverse grid battle with the top 12 finishers of race 1 reversed on the starting grid. That means we're going to have a very different order going into the race today. It's Niccolò Macagnani and Emily Cotti that will share the front row of the starting grid. And after their battle yesterday, they could well have what it takes to go for the victory from the front row. Good morning, everybody. Jake Sanson here in the commentary box as ever. It's been a fantastic start to the weekend, with the UAE4 and Formula Regional Middle East Trophy drivers really enjoying being back in the Middle East once again and here at the Yas Marina Circuit. Great to see all of the competitors in fine spirits and in very positive and ambient mood. We've got plenty of race coverage over the course of this weekend. Race 1 was a good one yesterday in UAE4. Today promises to be even better. Let's welcome the rookie winner as well for Colombia. Competitors find themselves in their cars ready to get out onto the starting grid in their new formation. The mechanics are taking all of the equipment out onto the starting grid. They'll have their reconnaissance laps and then we'll go racing. It's a very different grid order compared to yesterday. This is the race, of course, which the top end of the grid and the rest of the grid is decided by the results from race 1 yesterday. There were a handful of penalties handed out at the end of yesterday's race, either for false starts or for track limits infringements. So that means that we're going to have Niccolò Macagnani, the Italian stallion for the Ferrari Young Driver Academy, on pole position alongside Emily Cotti for the Race GP squad. And with her top 10 pace, there's very good chances for her to grab an overall podium here. Kingsley Jung for the Mumbai Falcons lining up in third position on the starting grid. And the Chinese driver will be sharing that second row with the Spanish wunderkind Christian Costoya, the new McLaren Junior, who's got plenty of excitement surrounding him. But for Niccolò Macagnani on pole position, this is a big opportunity for him. He's got a lot of support from the Ferrari Driver Academy here in Yas Marina. I had a very lengthy conversation last night with Jock Clear and Marc Genet, who are here supporting him as part of the Ferrari Driver Academy. And they are very excited about what he is going to be able to produce over the course of these 4 weekends. And there's a lot of excitement and a lot of positivity around this young man, who was discovered during F4 testing last year. He's basically been spending the last 4 years testing F4 cars rather than going through the karting route like most people do at this point of their careers. But he spent 4 years testing these cars behind closed doors. At an F4 test, he rocked up, and while the Ferrari juniors, amongst many others, were testing, he actually went quicker than them all. And so Ferrari realized, hang on a minute, we've got a talent on our hands here. They got in touch and they signed him for 2026. And so here he is, now part of the F4 team for Mumbai Falcons, and with big opportunities awaiting him this season. It's quite an incredible story and great to see him up at the sharp end. Emily Cotti, front row of the starting grid for the very talented teenager from Chichester. She was the Italian F4 and Euro 4 ladies champion last year, but that's not enough for her as far as she's concerned. It's time to start winning. She knows perfectly well what kind of opportunities await her, but she is absolutely vehement. I'm not a lady racing driver, I'm a racing driver. Take me seriously and watch how I fly. That's the message for the early part of 2026. And if she's strong here, then she's sure to be strong in Italy once again over the course of the season. There is Kaylee Countryman, the American driver from Arizona, looking forward to another positive start to a racing campaign. The drivers venture out onto the circuit for their reconnaissance laps. Now, they exit the pit lane, they go out and tour the circuit, and they will essentially explore the tyre temperatures and brake temperatures to get them relatively up to speed. They will pass through the pit lane if they choose to take a second reconnaissance lap, and then they will park themselves in their grid positions where their mechanics and teams are waiting for them. Great to see you all on the stream once again. Should be a very exciting day at the office. It's a beautiful blue, clear sky. Little patches of cloud around, but certainly nothing to be worried about in terms of the weather. It's going to be bone dry and glorious throughout. And on a circuit like Yas Marina, when it's still relatively cool this morning, that should really do well for the drivers in terms of their tyre temperatures. So everybody prepared for an exciting duel out on the course. We're definitely going to get one of those like we did yesterday. Here's the starting grid. Niccolò Macagnani and Emily Cotti on the front row. Then Kingsley Jung and Christian Costoya will be second row of the grid. Elia Weiss will be alongside Kenzo Craigie. And then on the fourth row of the grid behind them will be Rowan Campbell-Pilling and the Turkish driver Alpak Soy. Adam Alazari, P9, alongside David Kozma. Then we'll have Adi Konsani and Alexander Bondarev. Bondarev pole position yesterday, Konsani pole position this afternoon. Alba Larson will be alongside Scott-Kin Lindblom, charging his way back. Theo Palmer alongside Peyton Westcott from Laguna Beach, California. Then Clayton Costin alongside Vladimir Vokolantsev. Thomas Ingram Hill will be lining up beside Jaber Al-Sabah. Then Jacopo Martinese beside Emma Felbermeyer, who sadly got a penalty at the end of yesterday's encounter. Jarrett Clark struggled. Alongside him will be Dominic Schimek. Then Florentin Hattimer and Beda Al-Sulaiti, who was also given a 5-second penalty. Yaduardo Yakabuchi alongside Joseph Smith. And then towards the middle part of the grid, Ben Yuing and Brock Burton. Then we'll have 31st and 32nd Ryusha Nagasato and Lucas Pasquinetti. Then it's Nasa Altani alongside Kaylee Countryman, who lost her front wing yesterday. It's all repaired now. Tamas Genda alongside Zakaria Dole. And then we have Bernardo Bernaldi and Shabel Abi Gabriel. So all 38 contenders preparing for an exciting battle once again. They're still on their reconnaissance laps at this point. So everybody just getting themselves dialed in and ready for an exciting draw. It'll be very difficult to predict who's going to get the best of this, because you've got to remember that in the UAE4 Championship, the UAE4 Series, sorry, the category obviously is determined by who's going to look after their tyres best and when to go for their fresh tyres, because they only get 7 sets of tyres through the course of the race weekend, and when to go on the fresh tyres is quite critical, because you want to try and pick up as many points as you can over the course of the weekend around the 3 races, and making that decision is actually pretty tricky. So all of the contenders running their way through. It's going to be an interesting battle for the second race of the weekend. Carl wants to know on YouTube, didn't Elia Weiss do the Formula E rookie tests? He did indeed last year. He sees that as his eventual end game. He's seen the future, he's looked at his crystal ball, and he's got Formula E written through it like Blackpool Rock. He's the youngest driver ever in history to do the Formula E tests when he rocked up for Berlin for Porsche in July. He had only been 16 for 2 weeks as he got himself into the car, and he is very excited about the future. He is the son of Claudia Hürtgen, a very talented sports car and touring car racer in her own right. Looks like the family is continuing on in fine style in the new generation with Elia Weiss on board. Great to see the circuit looking resplendent today. It should be an interesting start. We had a 3-hour track night last night. I would say track day, but it wasn't day, was it? It was night after the battles yesterday, and we had all sorts of cars out on the circuit yesterday. We had Porsches, we had Ferraris, we had BMWs, we had all sorts of high-end performance cars going around the circuit. Fortunately, from what I'm told by the circuit officials here at Yas Marina, there were no red flags during the track night last night, which is pretty impressive actually, when you consider that normally there are billions of red flag stoppages during track days and track nights. So that means there's not going to be any oil or any debris deposited on the circuit for the drivers to worry about. That's the first concern out of the way. And so we're going to get ourselves a very strong start. Lovely to see people tuning in. Real 84 has been watching this series since 2023. He remembers seeing Yuga Wagachukwu, James Wharton and Tuka Tarpanen battle for the title. What a battle that was, and what a crescendo we had to that championship in the final race of the season here at Yas Marina. That famous moment when James Wharton and Tuka Tarpanen actually collided with each other on the way to the W Hotel, and that gave us our champion. Dramatic scenes. Hopefully we'll see some more drama with not too many shenanigans over the course of the season. And ironically, Real 84 is now watching Hugo and Wharton battle out in Formula Regional Oceania. Well, we've got Formula Regional Middle East coming up in a little around an hour or so. Good to see how the battle is getting ready. Now, Nicolo Macchignani and the Mumbai Falcons team, they've actually taken the engine cover off the Ferrari Academy Youngsters car. That's slightly concerning, because there may be some slight worries about him going off pole position if that's the case. Hopefully there won't be too many problems though for the young Roman. Here's Emily Cotti, the Chichester superstar. I genuinely think that 2026 is going to be her breakout year. If she can mix it in the top 5 consistently in the F4 championships here in the UAE and also in Italy later on in the season, then nobody will be able to deny her pedigree. She's in the right team with the right people around her, and the belief is genuine. Third position on the grid then, there's the Chinese driver Kingsley Zheng. relatively unheard of coming into the season, but definitely very fast indeed to see how he has got up to speed, and he's got a chance of getting on the podium from third on the grid. It's all about tyre management, and looking at his rears, there's a little bit of degradation, but it looks to me as though he's relatively there okay. That's Vitantonio Liuzzi to the right of your picture, the former Red Bull and Toro Rosso and Force India Formula One driver, now coaching young drivers as they move their way further forward. Christian Castoya, McLaren young gun. This is his kart racing debut this campaign, fourth on the grid for this reverse grid draw, but he had the pace to be in the top 10 on merit. In qualifying, he had a little bit of bad luck, but he wants to get all the bad luck out of the way in this part of the season before he heads to Italy later in the campaign. 16 years of age, Elia Weiss, the man we've already talked about, the youngest man ever to test in Formula E. He's right up at the sharp end. He's with RSGP, the team that has already given us the likes of Emanuele Olivieri and Tukka Tarpanen as champions in both F4 and Formula Regional categories over the last couple of years here in the Middle East. So he's got plenty of opportunities, and he's joining the man he duelled with for the majority of yesterday's race, the British youngster from Epsom in Surrey, Kenzo Craigie, one of the Mercedes juniors coming into this season. He's been well supported for a couple of years now, and he is genuinely looking like a future Formula One talent in the making. Already a world champion at junior level in karting and a European champion to the future champion as a senior before stepping into cars. This is his big moment to work on the next stage of his development. There's Rowan Campbell-Pilling, bringing a little bit of experience to the category. 19 years of age. He spent the last couple of years in GB4. Plenty of talent there. And the Pinnacle team are really getting a lot from his level of knowledge and wisdom. It's definitely shooting the team further up the grid in F4. They've never had too much problems with that in Formula Regional. F4 has always been a bit of a hiccup. Not this year, not with Rowan in the team. Here's Alpak Soy, a bit of a revelation, the youngster from Istanbul. He had not been racing in Formula 4 before the end of last season, and he came away with the Formula Trophy UAE category that ended here a month ago. So what an opportunity for him to continue that amazing bandwagon. Next up, Adam Al-Azhari, the man who lives just down the road from here in Dubai and is following in the footsteps of his brother Keanu and his father Kareem. But Adam has definitely got his own path, his own trajectory. He's already been a race winner in F4 in Great Britain and in Saudi Arabia. Now here in the United Arab Emirates, he's got a chance to do so on home soil, and that will be even more special than both combined. It is going to be a challenge from ninth on the grid, but if there's one thing Adam Al-Azhari does well, it's a challenge. 10th on the grid, David Kozma, the Romanian, bagged his first podium finish yesterday of the 2026 campaign. Has been a regular top 5 runner over the last 12 months, though, in the world of F4. He's doing a fantastic job so far here. Prema really enjoy his enthusiasm and his feedback. He's a real technical whiz when it comes to data, and he's got a good opportunity to continue this elevation. Amazing how wise and how mature these guys are, considering they're 15, 16, 17, 18 years of age. There's the number 30. Andy Consani, you're going to see him on pole position later this afternoon for race 3. He bagged the pole for that, but he's going to be 11th on the grid for this one after finishing second yesterday. The Mercedes Junior is pumped and ready. It's amazing to think that he has not had that much time in an F4 car, certainly on the international stage. He raced in the French series last year. But this is the man who they've currently all got to beat in terms of speed, pace and authority. Bondi the Bison, Alexander Bondarev, the Ukrainian, who flamboyantly bagged his first win of 2026 yesterday in very similar fashion to how he did so during the Formula One weekend here in December at the end of last year. Dominated both of those races. He's got a chance for a second win this morning and later today. There is Alba Larsen, the Super Dane. Looking forward to another great run. The young lady from Roskilde in Zealand. A great chance for her. She's going to be representing Ferrari in the F1 Academy later this year, but her speed up at the sharp end of Middle East F4 is very encouraging indeed. And it's a Ferrari Junior alongside a Red Bull Junior, the Swedish talent Scott Kin Lindblom, who rather sadly had a technical infringement in qualifying, putting him to the back of the grid for race 1 and 3. That set him on a charge, going from 38th on the grid to 14th yesterday. That tells you just how much talent he's got under his right foot, and expect more fireworks from him today in both this race and the next. His teammate is alongside him on the grid, just one row behind, Theo Palmer, a man who is also from just down the road in Dubai and is also a very talented racing driver, has had great success in F4 in other categories, but this is the one that's going to mean a lot to him at the start of this year to set him on a good path for the 2026 season. And alongside him on the starting grid is going to be the American youngster Peyton Westcott. Hails from the beautiful city of Laguna Beach in California, and she's definitely on a very strong mission. Won at Dubai in last year's Formula Trophy UAE season closer, so she has race winning potential again in 2026. So let's see if things continue. Number 97 next up, Platon Kostin, who's been coached and tutored under the watchful eyes of Ariel Elkin over the course of this weekend and hopefully for the rest of the season as well. A big talent, a winner in the Formula 4 Central European zone, and looking forward to continue things as he moves forward. He's joined on that row of the grid by Vladimir Verkalantsev, who is in a similar situation from his career. But of course now the signal is going up to clear the starting grid, because only the mechanic alongside the car will remain. And as soon as they get the signal, it will be time to clear the grid in total. Then only the drivers will be left on the starting grid. Good to see everybody already getting into the spirit of cheering their stars and their heroes ahead of what promises to be a very exciting championship season here in the UAE4 series. So everybody gearing up, ready for an exciting battle. We're told there's just going to be a slight delay on the start for this one, just for a slight technical check with the organisers of the circuit. So the drivers are still left in position. The engines are off, of course, still. So that's not going to cause any issues for the cars. And for those wondering why they're not starting from the Formula 1 starting line here at Yas Marina, well, it's because there are actually two paddocks on this particular circuit. One is the Formula 1 circuit paddock, and then we have the support paddock, which is on the other side of the circuit on the run to turn 9 of the Formula 1 circuit, and that is what we are using as our start-finish line. So it's slightly different to the Formula 1 configuration, although of course it is exactly the same layout as the Formula 1 drivers use. Bless him, Simon Besner's pointing out that we're actually seated at the F1 starting line because they're watching not just the UAE4 and Formula Regional races today. There are other races on the bill here this weekend, and they're rather sad that they're going to be missing the start. Unfortunately, you've got to make a choice where you're going to be watching from if you're watching the Yas Racing Series weekends. Do you start and take a seat on the Formula 1 grandstand, or do you do so on the grandstands over here? Depends on which start you want to catch, essentially. So we'll see how all of the drivers will charge away as we get ourselves prepared for the second race of the 3 this weekend. The first of the UAE4 series, not the first for this car across this championship, but for those wondering why there is a UAE4 series rebrand, it's because we have 2 categories for this type of racing in the same year in the same country. The FIA has ruled that you now cannot have 2 championships with the same accreditation, with the same F4 spec cars in the same nation in the same year. So one of them has to be FIA certified, the other loses its status. So the FIA status is now given to the Formula Trophy UAE at the end of the season in November and December, as it shares its bill with the Formula 1 Grand Prix in Abu Dhabi. And so this early start to the season loses its official FIA certification, and that means that the name change is also required. It's still been organised by EMSO, the Emirates Motorsport Organisation, and in collaboration with Top Speed Racing Events Limited. So nothing has changed except the name and the branding. So the car's in position. We're just waiting for the all clear from the race officials. Nothing to do with the complexities of the cars. It's all a technical starting point for the officials here at the circuit. So we're just waiting for the all clear, and then the mechanics will clear the grid. We'll get the 1 minute signal, and then we'll be able to go racing once again. Do make sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell on the live stream. You won't miss a moment of the UAE4 series, and then a little bit later you'll be able to do the same thing again for the Formula Regional Middle East Trophy. So we're now just waiting for the official commands here to see what the circumstances is going to be. We gather there is a slight electrical fault on the far side of the circuit, which is obviously causing us a slight delay. And we believe that's giving the teams the opportunity to return to the grid if they choose to do so. So there is a possibility that we are going to have a slight delay to proceedings. Don't panic though, folks. We are still ready for the battles in front. Well, for those who are making some comments about the quality of the stream yesterday, I'm aware of the situation, and of course so were all of us here in the team. We found the technical difficulty yesterday. It was rectified overnight. The team were working until 1 AM this morning to make sure it was all okay, and now we have gone through all the checks. It should be much better, and certainly compared to what we are used to having, it will be a much more improved situation. So apologies for the difficulties yesterday, but we are definitely going to have a much stronger day at the office today. It was a slight complexity involving the weather conditions being slightly different than expected, and also some slight electrical difficulties. They have now been taken care of. They have now been rectified, so we will have a better day at the office today. Thank you for all your concern. And thank you for all of your passion. We know that you want to see as good a race as we do. And don't worry, we are aware of it and we're on top of it. So while we're waiting for the starting procedure here at Yas Marina to continue, we're going to run through the grid one at a time once again for you. Niccolo Maccagnani, pole position to the left of your screens in the Mumbai Falcons blue and orange machine. Alongside him will be Emily Cotti, the 16-year-old from Chichester. Looking forward to another strong season in F4, and definitely on the charge at the moment. This could be her strongest season yet, and certainly the kind of pace that she's been showing in the winter off-season testing has always been top 10, so exciting to see what she can create. Kingsley Jung, third position on the grid, also for the Mumbai Falcons team, lining up in third place on the grid alongside the Spaniard Christian Gostoya for the McLaren Junior team. Then Elia Weiss, the very talented 16-year-old from Munich, who is the son of Claudia Herdgen and the youngest ever Formula E tester. Kenzo Craigie, 15 years of age from Epsom, Mercedes Junior, and racing for the RSGP squad, and a former FIA karting world champion at junior level on home soil. That fabulous final lap battle at PF International that saw he and Noah Baglin go wheel to wheel across the wet conditions at PF International. Still one of the most thrilling last laps you're ever going to see in motorsport. If you want to go and check that out, be my guest. You will not be disappointed. Rowan Campbell-Pilling will line up alongside Alpak Soy. Adam Alazari will line up alongside David Cosma. And that will be the rounding out of the top 10. While we're waiting, we can certainly show you the highlights from yesterday's encounter. Race number 1 was a fabulous race from the starting point. Alexander Bondarev had all the pressure on him from pole position, but as soon as the lights went out for UAE4 2026, he launched himself straight into a commanding position. There's already some great battles all the way up and down the length of the field. Great to see that the drivers obviously listening to race director Eduardo Freitas in the driver's briefing. You can't win the race on lap 1, but you can definitely lose it. Sadly, that was the case. Shabal Ali Gabriel. When the lights went green again on the restart, Alexander Bondarev had already given himself a tiny bit of deadline. Not that it was a race without incident, single driver put himself into the race. Ran wide, unfortunately, not too many drivers in the first race of the season. This textbook overtaking move from Ali Gonzalez showcases that Mercedes Junior is definitely up for a title campaign in 2026. Great racecraft, not just at the front of the field, but also in the middle of the pack as well. Everybody putting in such a fantastic effort to see Kelly Weiss and Kenzo Craigie, his teammates, go wheel to wheel. And they ran side by side for almost a lap. Giving us great entertainment. Here is part of the battle further back as well. We saw Theo Palmer and Alba Larsen lock wheels, very nearly hit each other on the way to the W Hotel. It's great to see Alba Larsen has learnt a lot from her F1 Academy campaign earlier last year, I should say. Fantastic job, and he's really mixing it with the big names. But Alexander Bondarev absolutely dominant out front, just like he was in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix support races at the tail end of 2025. He's ready for what could be a dominant season for the Ukrainian in 2026. It means a lot to him, the Williams Junior from Kiev, who lives now in Monza in Italy. What a fantastic start to 2026 for the Williams Junior. Great start as well for the Mumbai Falcons race team in collaboration with Prema. So a fabulous start for them. We can talk you through some of the other drivers on the grid we didn't get the chance to look at earlier on. Row 6 is Konsani and Bondarev. Row 7 is Larsen and Lindblom, Palmer and Westcott, then Platon Kostin, and this man, Vladimir Verkalantsev, who's got big pedigree for him, moving his way further forward. Looking to see what the Pinnacle driver is able to produce. Next up on the grid for the Evans GP squad, who are based at the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia. Josh Evans is a very proud Australian, though. They also have a base at Sydney Motorsport Park. There is Thomas Ingram Hill, the British driver who has joined them for this year. Good to see him continuing his F4 journey after a couple of seasons in Ginetta Juniors. He's been with Fortec for the GB4 and F4 GB categories. Next up alongside is the number 83, that's the XL Motorsport driver Jaber Al-Sabah. It's a country that's starting to get a little bit more pedigree for motorsport, the man from Kuwait City. They obviously have their own race circuit now, Kuwait Motor Town, which we actually visited 3 seasons ago. Great race circuit, hopefully it's got a big future. Needs a little bit more infrastructure built around it, but if they manage to get work done in the next 3 years or so, that could even be a Formula One venue. Number 46, the Italian from Torrizzano in Lecce in the beautiful region of Puglia is Jacopo Martinese. Great new addition to the world of single-seaters. Spent the last 3 years as a Kart Republic Motorsport factory driver in the world of karting. And of course, Kart Republic masterminded by Dino Chiesa. And that is the man who discovered the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg in their karting days. Emma Felbermeyer, the Austrian from Wels, doing a grand job, the 18-year-old, a Sauber Junior, an F1 Academy race winner, of course, competed in both the F4 British and Spanish championships last year. She only made her car racing debut in 2025. She was a very strong kart racer in the Benelux and European categories prior to that. There is Jarrett Clark, the British ace from Northwest London, Australian and British parentage. Ginetta Juniors last year, Formula Trophy UAE last year, and in the European categories of karting, he was a Sodi Kart and Forza racing driver. He's with the Virtuosi team. They're backing him all the way to the top, and don't forget that Virtuosi Racing is a team with a presence in a Formula One paddock, so they clearly feel this guy has the credentials to get there one day. Next up, Dominik Šimek from the Czech Republic, very impressive young talent, 16 years of age. Raced for the Forza racing team in the senior category of FIA, but he had the wisdom and the temerity to switch to the gearbox categories in 2025. And that is a real mark of a strong talent. Anybody can rock up in the direct drive categories of OK Junior and OK. It takes a driver with nerves of steel to go into the gearbox KZ and KZ2 categories. That's what Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc did, and it worked out pretty well for them. There's his teammate, Florentin Hattimer, the Swiss driver who raced in Formula 4 Central European Zone and Italian for Yenza Motorsport last year. Was a Victory Lane karting driver before that, so definitely a lot of ability for the young Swiss. Next up, number 5, Bader Al-Sulaiti for the Qatar Motorsport and Motorcycle Federation squad, supported by Hitech. So that's an F4 Middle East driver last year, as well as an F4 Italian and Euro 4 racer. He participated for Qatar in the FIA Motorsport Games in 2024 in Spain. Very talented racing driver. Alongside him on the grid, the number 26, that is Edoardo Iacobucci, the 17-year-old from Rome, who is racing under the United Arab Emirates banner because, of course, he lives in Dubai nowadays. Good to see him, and he's making good progress as he works his way through the motorsport world. He was in Formula Trophy UAE at the tail end of last year, and he's continuing his learning procedure with the Yas Heat Academy that has already given us plenty of great talents over the years. We continue further forward, and we greet the number 15, Joseph Smith of the XL Motorsport team. A really strong talent, this, the young man from Cambridgeshire. 4 podiums and a fastest lap during his Ginetta Junior run. Good to see him having competed in 4 British F4 races. He was with Victory Lane in the European karting categories prior to that. Okay, so we are told that the drivers are actually being given the chance to get out of the car. So they've obviously been in the car for quite a long time. There is a slight pause to the proceedings, as we mentioned. When the race starts, we will get 2 formation laps, and the race duration will be 3 minutes less. We have no further information than that, and that's just letting you know what the situation is. Ben Yuing, the Vietnamese driver, looks like he's ready for a nap. Thank goodness he's being cooled down. He's a very likeable young man, is Ben Yuing. I've got a lot of respect for this young talent. He's only been racing about 18 months, and that's in anything at all. Never mind talking about his single-seater career. He's very, very new indeed to the world of racing. The Ho Chi Minh driver was in Infinity Miami Series Asia, then a few weeks later he was in F4. Crazy. There's Brock Burton, the Australian, having picked up a podium in his native F4 championship. He's hoping for a little bit more as he continues. I've noticed that both of the QMMF drivers, Bader Al-Sulaiti and Nasser Al-Thani, have not only got out of their cars, they've actually gone for a drink. So drivers are allowed to get out of their cars if they wish to. The number 34, as you can see, the car has already been abandoned by Ryusha Nagasato, the 18-year-old from Japan. He raced in his native Japanese F4 championship last season. We look into the cockpit and we find that Ryusha Nagasato is already gone from the cockpit. He was a competitor in Tony Kart in the international karting ranks last year as well. So any driver that gets a job with Tony Kart is worth their salt. There is Ryusha Nagasato, in fact. So he's just decided to get out of the car and move his way further forward. This is unprecedented. I'm not entirely sure the reason for this. So apologies for the delay. We will try and get an understanding of the situation as soon as we possibly can. But at the moment, until we get official clarification as to the reasons why we have this delay, we're as much in the dark as you are. So we'll just allow the officials to do their job, and we'll focus on the drivers on the grid. There is the XGP driver, Lucas Pascanetti. Very able young man, originally born in Sao Paulo in Brazil, carries the Italian flag, and is obviously now under a UAE driving license. So that's a proper continental driver, is that? Next up, the latest driver from Qatar to step into the world of F4, a MENA driving star. That is the MENA Cup that takes place every year for drivers from the Middle East and North Africa. That's the car of Nasser Al-Thani. Took part in the F4 shootout last year as well. There's the pinnacle driver next up, Kaylee Countryman, hoping for a much better race than she had yesterday. She was impeded by some contact that ended up losing her a front wing. So Kaylee Countryman is rather hoping that all the fans back home in Chandler, Arizona can have a little bit more to smile about. There is the team principal, John O'Hara, next to her car. They're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Pinnacle Motorsport this year. Very exciting times for the team that has their headquarters in Manila in the Philippines. There is Tomika, Thomas Gender from Budapest. He had a miserable race yesterday, but I went and had a word with him after the race. He's still happy, he's still positive, he knows he's got a lot of a mountain to climb, but just like those ancient Greek gods who pushed the boulder up the mountain, he knows that hard work is what pays off, and he is just at the start of his journey. Still plenty to come from him. Next up on the grid, there's 17, another of the young talents for the Yazheat Academy, that is Zakaria Dole. Looking forward to seeing what he can do. The young man from Dubai. So the competitors will get themselves started. We're told that the 2 formation laps will come as soon as we get back to racing conditions. At the end of the first formation laps, the cars will not stop on the starting grid. The race distance will be reduced by 3 minutes time. And that message has come to us from the race director, Eduardo Freitas. So that is the official word. We're not entirely sure what the reason for the delay is, but we are told by race director that the 5 minutes board will be at 10:45. So this race is due to get underway for its formation laps at 10:50. Bernardo Bernaldi has already extricated himself from his car. The Brazilian driver following in the footsteps of his father, born in Florianopolis, the 16-year-old continuing on the family legacy, and Beko looking forward to a strong run. He was a driver for Prema and Kart Republic in the world of karting. And there is Charbel Abi Gabriel. You've now met them all. And the man who was originally born in Lebanon and now racing under the UAE flag for Yazheat Racing. He competed in the Formula Trophy UAE at the end of last year. He's making steady progress. Sadly, his race 1 ended in the wall just before the end of the first lap after he got tagged there on the first turn. And I think it was his teammate that he ended up actually having an incident with, because we had a car yesterday come through the pit lane without a rear wing. So obviously some difficulties there. I think it might actually have been Bernardo Bernaldi he clashed with. So now the QMMF drivers, Beda Al-Sulaiti and Nasser Al-Thani, are walking away from the high-tech garage and back to their cars. That's a good sign for us, because it means we're going to get under starters' orders very soon indeed. So if you've only just joined us here at the UAE4 series at Yas Marina Circuit, Jake Stanson in the commentary box. Here for the UAE4 series organised by EMSO and Top Speed Racing Events Limited. You have not missed a moment, because the race has been delayed due to a technical error, and so that is being rectified. The drivers have now been told to return to their cars, because we have the 5-minute board about to be shown, and that will send the drivers on their way at 10:50. There will be 2 formation laps, and the race distance will be reduced from 28 minutes plus 1 lap to 25 minutes plus 1 lap. So there will be a 3-minute reduction in the race distance. It will still be full points. It will still be a reverse grid, so it'll be Nicola Macagnani and Emily Cotti on the front row of the grid. And I know that there's been comments about this in the past, and I read some comments last night on a couple of the social media forums, people saying, why do the reverse grid races get the same points given as the race 1 and race 3 that are normal grid? Well, there's a very simple answer for this, and I had a conversation with this at length a couple of years ago with the chairman of operations to Top Speed, that's Davide De Gobbi. He told me very simply, the race length is exactly the same as the race 1 and race 3, although of course on this occasion, due to the technical difficulty, it'll be 3 minutes less. But normally the reverse grid is 28 minutes long, the same length as race 1 and race 3. So why would we give fewer points to a race if the race distance is the same length? It's that simple. Drivers know that they've got to deal with reverse grid races in junior single-seaters. It's a skill they've got to learn. So why would we give fewer points for those race performances? And I have to say I agree with it. If you're going to reduce the length of the race, then yes, give the drivers fewer points. But if the race is the same distance, the same length, you should give them the same points. And it's absolutely the correct decision. And it obviously helps the drivers improve their racecraft and improve their skill, which is kind of what Formula 4 and Formula Regional is supposed to be about. Jarrett Clark and the Virtuosi mechanics with him assisting the team XL Motorsport. They've got 2 young drivers for Virtuosi in XL this year, Jarrett Clark and Joseph Smith. So obviously they are getting a little bit of additional support as they work their way further forward up the grid. And this will be a fascinating race when we get going. Macagnani, pole position. The last time I saw him start a race from pole position in F4, he absolutely ran away from it, and that was in Sepang in Malaysia, having only competed in a couple of races prior to that point. But this is the man who, starting from pole position, has not had a lot of karting in the last 4 years. He spent that time testing behind closed doors when he went quicker than the Ferrari Young Drivers Academy competitors driving F4 cars. Ferrari realized they had a talent on their hands and decided, well, if we can't beat him, we'll make sure he joins us. And so they did. So the contenders on the starting grid, 38 drivers in total in the F4 category here, UAE4 series. Still running the same cars that we ran last year. The grid is now being cleared, which is exactly what we were hoping to see. So only the drivers will be left on the starting grid, and we can get this second UAE4 series race of the 2026 campaign underway. Apologies for the delay. I hope you didn't get too annoyed by my ramblings over the last half hour or so. Certainly gave me a chance to flex my muscles and remember all of the drivers that are in the field. There's 38 of them. It's quite hard work getting to know all of these kids, especially considering that a handful of them could end up in Formula 1, Le Mans, Indianapolis, Bathurst 1000, Nürburgring 24, Dubai 24, you name it. They'll race it in the future. This is just the beginning for all of them to make their progress in motorsport. So as you can see on the starting gantry, 25 minutes to go, not 28 minutes to go, because the race distance has been reduced by 3 minutes. There will be 2 consecutive formation laps. That's because the engines have been off for quite some time now for these cars. So they'll get 2 formation laps to get them back up to speed. That will help on the approach to the start line. So 2 consecutive formation laps. They will not stop on the end of the first lap and form up on the grid. They will do so at the end of the second formation lap. So hopefully we are going to have a very exciting race when this starts, because reverse grid races usually throw up something a little bit special, as we get to see drivers who don't necessarily put themselves into pole position. We get to see what their racecraft is like. And let's not forget that some of the drivers will be on fresh tyres, some of them will be on used tyres, depending on what they've decided to go with for this second race. Those in an advantageous position on the grid will probably use this as their chance to go onto fresh tyres. Those who've got a better grid position for race 3 will probably try and save their fresh tyres for the third race of the day. So you can see there, you've got the difference between fresh and used tyres up and down the length and breadth of the grid, and that's going to pay quite a lot in terms of the context of things when the competitors are running in close proximity. So the drivers are ready for an exciting duel out on the course, and now they have finally been left on their own. Remember, 2 formation laps, and then they will pull onto the grid. We'll have 25 minutes plus 1 lap rather than 28 minutes plus 1 lap. So Niccolò Macagnani will be on pole position with 37 hungry racing drivers right behind him on the approach to turn 1. That's tough when you've got that much in your mirrors. Engine revs rise. They'll get the green flag on the starting gantry, and on the lights that turn green as well. And the drivers move away off the starting grid. Christian Castoya, slow to get away, stops. Can he get going again? If he can't, then we're in trouble. He does get going. That's good news. And because the rest of the field hasn't overtaken him, that means that he can take his original grid position again. The rule is very clear. If you don't get away particularly quickly, but then you start to move, as long as the whole field has not overtaken you, then you can take your original grid position back again. If the whole field has gone past you, then you have to start from the back. That has not been the case on this occasion for Christian Castoya, so he will get to start from P4. So we're going to talk you through the 38 cars on the starting lineup one more time as they are on their final 2 formation laps on this glorious Yas Marina circuit, one of the best Formula 1 facilities on the planet and the home of Formula 1 in the United Arab Emirates since 2009. Niccolo Maccagnani and Emily Cotti on the front row of the grid. Kingsley Jung alongside Christian Gastoya. Third row of the grid will see Elia Weiss and Kenzo Craigie, the two teammates from Race GP. Fourth row, Rowan Campbell-Pilling alongside the Turkish ace Alpak Soy. Rounding out the top 10, Adam Alazari, the home favourite, alongside David Kozma of Romania, Andy Consani of France, and yesterday's Race 1 winner, Alexander Bondarev. Alba Larsen alongside Scott Kinlin-Blom. Then Theo Palmer beside the American Peyton Westcott. Next row of the grid, Clayton Costin alongside Vladimir Verkalantsev. And rounding out the top 20, Thomas Ingram Hill and Jaber Al-Sabah. Jacopo Martinez and his teammate Emma Felbermeyer. Jarrett Clark beside Dominic Šimek on row 12. Next up, it's Florentin Hatema alongside the Qatari Beda Al-Sulaiti, Eduardo Iacobucci and Joseph Smith. Rounding up the top 30 is Ben Yuing and Brock Burton. 31st on the grid is Ryusha Nakazato, and then Lucas Pasquinetti is alongside. Then we have Nasser Al-Thani alongside the American Kaylee Countryman. Thomas Gender is alongside Zachariah Dalai. And then at the very end of the race grid, Bernardo Vinaldi and Shabo Ali Gabriel, the two that collided with each other on the first lap of race 1. So the contenders are looking forward to an exciting battle. Get ourselves into close proximity around the course. So we're going to see some really exciting run for all of the drivers as they go on their second of the 2 formation laps. When they pull themselves back onto the grid once again, we are going to have a strong race battle ahead of us. Contenders are ready for another exciting day of the races here. 38 cars around the Yas Marina circuit. Shorter wheelbase, narrower car than Formula 1, which means that there should be overtaking opportunities. We'll have a variation of drivers on fresh tyres compared to drivers on used tyres as well. So that's definitely going to be fascinating to observe as we go through the ebb and flow of the race. When the cars make their way back to the circuit, the starting grid, not this starting grid because it's the support race paddock that we launch from heading towards turn 9 rather than the Formula 1 paddock heading towards turn 1. The official names of the corners remain the same. So we continue working our way across the run. So a very exciting battle for all of the drivers as they run through. And now they weave from side to side the last time down the back straight, trying to get the heat into the tyres and the brakes. And that, of course, puts them into the best position we can hope for. The drivers want to have the confidence into turn 1 when they hit the brakes and turn through, so you've got to make sure that you weave the tyres and brakes to optimum temperature. The second race of the 2026 UAE4 Series campaign about to get underway. Niccolo Maccagnani and Emily Cotti on the reverse grid front row. From Kingsley Jung, Christian Gastoya, Elia Weiss, Kenzo Craigie, Rowan Campbell-Pilling, Alpak Soy, Adam Alazari and David Kozma. The front row, the 2 pole position sitters from qualifying. Q2 pole, Andy Consani. Q1 pole, Alexander Bondarev. Then Alba Larsen, Scott Kinlin-Blom, Theo Palmer, Peyton Westcott, Clayton Costin, Vladimir Verkalantsev, Thomas Ingram Hill, and Jeba Al-Sabah. Then Martinez, Felbermeyer, Clark, Šimek, Hatema, Al-Sulaiti, Iacobucci, Smith, Newing, Burton, Nakazato, Pasquinetti, Al-Thani, Countryman, Gender, Dolay, Bernaldi, and Abi Gabriel. All 38 cars lining up then here at Yas Marina after the slight delay. We've now got the end of the second formation lap. The cars forming on the grid will have 25 minutes plus the additional lap. There is the medical car just standing by in case we need it. The safety car is at the end of the pit lane, ready to pounce if we need that. And the final cars getting into their grid positions. It's now up to the drivers. And for Niccolo Maccagnani on pole position, the Ferrari Academy Junior goes beside Emily Cotti, the Italian F4 and Euro 4 ladies champion. We'll see which one of them gets to the first corner first. The engine revs will rise, the lights will go out, and when they do, we'll be racing for the second time in UAE4. Let's race again at Yas Marina. Great start from Emily Cotti, but a better start from Nicola Macagnani as he slices across her path. There's a couple of drivers fighting all the way down the main straight behind. Castoya's trying to get around the outside of Axoy. Oh, big accident into turn one, and that's Rowan Campbell-Pilling. He goes up in the air and sideways, and Castoya is wide as well. Big drama into turn one. Rowan Campbell-Pilling in the pinnacle up in the air as the rest of the field work their way through. But that's a big disaster for the British driver. Rowan Campbell-Pilling is out of it at turn one, and that could be a safety car. As leading the way, we've got Macagnani, Cotti, Zhang, and into fourth position. That looks like Elia Weiss, I think. Double checking. Actually, I think it's Kenzo Craigie. I think he got a better start as Elia Weiss had to take avoiding action too. So Weiss is missing. Well, my goodness, that was a big moment to start this second race. Bit of a run wide there in the background from the Prima. Safety car, no surprises at all there. Safety car is called. My goodness me, let's just hope everybody's okay. There is Rowan Campbell-Pilling, thank goodness for that, walking away from his pinnacle. Well, that was a heart-in-mouth moment as he went up in the air, but he has landed relatively safely. Great to see the safety features of these magnificent cars being showcased once again as Rowan Campbell-Pilling is able to get himself out of the car and walk away. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be the case for all of the drivers involved. I know that Christian Castoya was also involved. His McLaren ran very wide, but we're under safety car conditions here as the first start ends up a little bit chaotic, perhaps a little bit more chaotic than anybody was hoping for. Now we have to see what the situation is for the drivers that are remaining. There's only a handful of cars actually involved in it. I think only 3 really got caught up. Elia Weiss and Christian Castoya were also involved in that one. So the race start is naturally under investigation. So let's look at the order. Macagnani, Cotti, Zhang, Craigie, then Aksoy, Kansani, Bondarev. So a lot of shuffling. Let's have another look at it. So keep an eye on the black and red car in the middle of your screen. Rowan Campbell-Pilling. We've got Kenzo Craigie to his left side. Then Campbell-Pilling goes wheel to wheel with Craigie. Elia Weiss, he was trying to avoid Castoya. Then he darted to the left side and there was nowhere for Campbell-Pilling to go but up in the air and over the rear wing of Castoya. So that was Elia Weiss getting out of the way of Castoya, pulling to the left, spearing into Campbell-Pilling, and Rowan had nowhere to go. Castoya, an innocent victim, and Elia Weiss, of course, caught up in that. So Weiss, Campbell-Pilling, and Castoya, big moment. There was a big miscommunication there between Elia Weiss and Rowan Campbell-Pilling. But Rowan will be very unhappy indeed about the way that race ended. Completely blameless in that one. And it's hard to say, really, that Elia Weiss was at fault as well. Goodness me, Castoya has come back into the pit lane without a rear wing or without an engine cover. A lot of damage to his car. Well, that's what happens when a car lands on top of the back of yours. A lot of damage, and that's going to be a race-ending incident for Christian Castoya. What a shame. It's very difficult to lay the blame at any one driver. I've got a feeling that there will be a penalty handed out, but Elia Weiss is obviously trying to take avoiding action of Castoya, who was braking perhaps a little earlier than Elia Weiss was anticipating. He had to get out of the way of him to avoid hitting the back of his car, and Rowan Campbell-Pilling was already there. So I would say that's a racing incident. I wouldn't say that's any one driver acting the fool. It's very difficult to get down to the first corner in close proximity with your rivals around you. So I think before you lay the blame at any one driver, you've got to take into account that if he's trying to avoid the car in front, you've only got a split second to react, and you're traveling at a pretty high velocity. Racing incident up to the first corner. It happens sometime, and I would not really put the blame at any one driver for that. Occasionally you get 2 or 3 drivers trying to share the same bit of racetrack. Nothing malicious there, and nothing stupid at all, just drivers wanting the same bit of racetrack, and obviously with Weiss having to get out of the way of Castoya without hitting him. Sadly, he ended up hitting someone else. Safety car in at the end of this lap, so it's only a 1-lap safety car. So Macagnani and Cotti are going to continue at the front. We've got a replay of the damage for the McLaren ace at the front. Oh, we're going to replay of the start here. So this is what happened again. Look at Weiss getting alongside Costoya. You see, look, Costoya pulls in front of Weiss, so he had to change direction. So Costoya pulled across the nose of Weiss. He went right. Weiss decided to go left to take avoiding action. Rowan Campbell-Pilling was already there. You can't lay the blame at any one driver. There is Costoya being wheeled back into the pits, and on track, we're going green. So we're green once again. Oh, goodness me, at the back of the queue. That was very nearly an incident there for Shabal Abi-Gabriel. But we go back to racing conditions up at the front, and Nicola Maccagnani has not got the best of restarts here. Emily Cotti is already hungry to get into the lead, and she's going for it. She's not going to back down from the fight. So Kingsley Jung's going to have Kenzo Craigie and Alpak Soy for company. Konsani's already up to P6. Bondarev's already up to P7. So it's game on. Cosma, Alazari, Lindblom, Larson, Costin, Westcott, Weiss and Palmer. So Elia Weiss managed to keep going despite the incident, but he's down to 14th place, outside the points. So he's got to try and salvage something from this race. But Nicola Maccagnani leads the way here from Emily Cotti. Big dives on the inside to protect the inside line. Cotti's actually getting away from Kingsley Jung, so this is great work from Cotti. And Kenzo Craigie, if he wants to go for the victory, he needs to get ahead of Kingsley Jung pretty quickly, as Konsani and Bondarev go wheel to wheel. Now this could be a preview of the title fight between these two. Konsani versus Bondarev. Bondarev's already all over the Frenchman. If he can get ahead, then that's almost like breaking the serve in tennis. He gives himself a chance to score more points than his rival in the reverse grid race. Climbing up the inside, couple of drivers choosing to go for it. Big lockup from Konsani. And that's really going to compromise him down the back straight. This could be an easy pickings move for Bondarev. Even Maccagnani is frightened that Cotti's going to get close in the toe as Craigie goes on the offensive on Kingsley Jung. We could see a move or two here. Cosma's getting hungry behind Bondarev as well. Here comes the move from Alazari, going for Lindblom, dive up the inside. And that's going to be brave, but Bondarev goes out wide. Has to hold on from Cosma, and there's contact. That's the Prema of Westcott going wheel to wheel with Platon Costin. But they managed to get away with it. Cotti still swarming around by Maccagnani, as here comes Kenzo Craigie. Dives in on Kingsley Jung, and that's P3. Lovely job. Really read the situation well there, so Kenzo Craigie up into third place in his rookie car racing campaign. Good start from the Race GP squad. Cotti second, Craigie third. Andy Konsani still sixth in front of Bondarev, then Cosma, Lindblom, Larson, Alazari, Costin, Westcott, Weiss, Palmer and Al-Sabar. There's Alpak Soy trying to chase down his teammate, Kingsley Jung. He doesn't want to get held up by the Chinese driver so far. So this will be very tough indeed. Oh, and that's Peyton Westcott. Peyton Westcott in the barriers at turn 9 after a collision with, guess who? Elia Weiss. Well, Elia Weiss and Peyton Westcott have not come through. Now, again, before you lay judgment, I wonder if Elia Weiss had damage on his car, and is that what ended up clattering Peyton Westcott off the road? We might need to see a replay of what happened there. But Elia Weiss has not come through. Oh, in fact, Elia Weiss has now come through, but has dropped a long way back by the look of it. So I think Elia Weiss is in trouble. Peyton Westcott out of the race. Oh, big slide out of the hairpin there. Safety car a second time. Well, unfortunately, the battle was just getting good up front. And so Kenzo Craigie up to third position. Well, this is going to be a pressure cooker for Emily Cotti when the race restarts, but it's also going to be a pressure cooker for Nicola Maccagnani. Looks like Platin Costin is also not going any further. So not entirely sure what's happened there. But certainly for Platon Costin, it looks as though he's going no further either. Costin's out, Westcott's out. It's turning into a bit of a race of attrition, this one. So rather unfortunate, but certainly for Nicola Maccagnani, that's a little bit less pressure for the next couple of minutes. Although, based on Emily Cotti's restart last time, Maccagnani definitely needs to keep his wits about him. with Kenzo Craigie on the warpath of both of them. This could be an amazing restart. Kingsley Jung fourth, and Aksoy, Konsani, Bondarev, Kozma, Lindblom, Alazari, Larson and Palmer. Now, if I'm Konsani and Bondarev, I'm using old tyres for this race. Even though they're up to 6th and 7th place, I'm still using old tyres because you want to keep your fresh tyres for when they're sharing the sharp end of the grid for the next race, because Konsani is going to be on pole position for that one. There is Platon Kostin's car abandoned, and that is why we're under safety car conditions. So Platon Kostin's car well and truly gone from the fray. And Elia Weiss is out of the race as well. His car has stopped on the outside of turn 9. So there's a yellow flag there as well. And we already saw Peyton Westcott's car in the barriers. So very difficult indeed to judge how that incident played out. But we've got 4 retirements now confirmed. Platon Kostin, Peyton Westcott, Christian Gastoya and Rowan Campbell-Pilling. So it looks like we've got, there you go, we've got Platon Kostin's car just off to the side there. That's why we've got a yellow flag at the finish line, the official Formula 1 finish line, by the way, not our finish line, which is in between turns 8 and 9. And we've also got the yellow flags out at turn 9, which is our turn 1, just to confuse you. So Macagnani leads the way, Cotti in 2nd place. Then Kenzo Craigie, Kingsley Jung, Alpak Soy, Adi Konsani, Alexander Bondarev, David Kozma. Then Scott Kin Lindblom in 9th place, so he's looking good for some points. Adam Alazari is 10th. Then Alba Larson, Theo Palmer, Jaber Al-Sabah. It should be... Oh, Elia Weiss is in position in 14th. So I wonder if the contact with his car might have actually done something to the transponder. It might have just tripped the signal for a moment, because now he is showing up in 14th again. So Elia Weiss is still going. Vladimir Vakalantsev in 15th, then Thomas Ingram Hill, Emma Felbermeyer, Joseph Smith, Jaron Clark, Jacopo Martinez and Florentin Hattemer, then Dominic Shimek, Beda Al-Sulaiti, Zachariah Dole, then Brock Burton, Eduardo Iacobucci, Bernardo Benoldi, Shabel Abi Gabriel, Lucas Pasquinetti, Ben Ewing, Kaylee Countryman, Thomas Genda, Ryushu Nakazato and Nasser Al-Tani. All the others, there's 4 of them, are missing. Platon Kostin, Peyton Westcott, Gastoya and Rowan Campbell-Pilling. So 4 retirements from this race already. We've got 12 minutes still to go. It's our 2nd safety car period. But we're going to get to see another lap behind the safety car, because if this was going to be a 1-lap safety car, then the lights would already be out and Niccolo Macagnani would already be being left at the start line of the next lap. So we'll have to see what happened between Westcott and Weiss, because they were on the same bit of racetrack together, and Westcott ended up in the barrier. Weiss continued. So I don't know whether they hit each other or whether Weiss had to take avoiding action, and that's what tripped his transponder. So again, we don't know if it was contact. We only know that Westcott ended up in the barriers and Weiss ended up having an issue on that particular sector. So it could well be that Peyton Westcott ended up having an incident of her own, and Elia Weiss had to take avoiding action. Or it could have been somebody else getting involved in the two of them entirely. We don't have any images to showcase that at the moment. If we do, we'll let you know. Got to remember that we've only got a certain number of cameras for these events. We don't quite have the same multi-million-pound budget as Formula 1, so if we catch it, we catch it. If we don't, it's left to your imagination. Under the W Hotel, Niccolo Macagnani ahead of Cotti, Craigie, and then Jung, Aksoy and Konsani from Bondarev, Kozma, Lindblom and Alazari. Safety car proceedings in the 2nd race of the 2026 UAE4 series. Jake Sanson in the commentary box, Niccolo Macagnani in the lead. So the recovery teams have already gone to work to make sure that Peyton Westcott's Prema has been gathered up from turn 9, And as you can see, Platon Kostin's car is now in a safe position at the end of the main straight. They couldn't quite put it into the extrication point midway down the straight, so they've had to do it at the end of the straight. And if that is all okay, then we should be able to clear the racetrack pretty quickly at turn 9, and then we can go racing again at the end of this lap. All being well. We may need another lap behind the safety car. If that's the case, we'll just have to go with that. But the yellow flag at turn 9 has now been removed. So within a few seconds or so, we should get the message through from our race director, Eduardo Freitas, to tell us that the safety car will be in, maybe at the end of this lap, maybe at the end of the next one. We've got a replay. Let's have a look. This is the start. So we're going to see what happened again between Rowan Campbell-Pilling, Elia Weiss and Christian Castoya. Now watch Castoya in the orange McLaren. Elia Weiss is right behind him. Castoya pulls to the right in the path of Weiss. He has to go left, and Rowan Campbell-Pilling's already there. I'm not sure you can put the blame on Elia Weiss for that. Safety car in this lap. Safety car in this lap. So we are going to go back to racing once again. Sadly, without the likes of Rowan Campbell-Pilling or Christian Castoya, but goodness gracious me, that was a scary moment for Rowan Campbell-Pilling. Thank goodness he's able to extricate himself from the car. A few more replays of some big lockups. Drivers really pushing it today. Safety car's in, and we're going green. And it's going to be Nicolo Maccagnani that leads the field. He's gone for it. Cotti and Craigie are close though. It's not the restart that Maccagnani was hoping for, because Cotti and Craigie are a lot closer to him than he would have liked. We come off the turn and it's green, 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 green here at Yas Marina. As Cotti still has the toe of Maccagnani, but Craigie has the toe of Cotti. Then Jung, Aksoy, Consani. Consani's going for it on Aksoy. He goes one way, then goes the other. He's really pulling the stops out here. Andy Consani absolutely determined to get alongside Alp Aksoy, who drives right round the outside of him. Good work from the Turkish star. And Andy Consani going for broke. He knows he can't really avoid this for too much longer, because Bondarev is going wheel to wheel with him, and he's squeezed wide at the W Hotel. He comes back on directly beside Andy Consani, and he's in front. Alexander Bondarev and Andy Consani dueling for position on the restart. Now those two could well be the title protagonists of 2026 in the UAE4 series, so that matters. Brilliant racing. As Alba Larsen kicks out a bit wide in front of Theo Palmer. Palmer now fancies his chances to get past the Dane. Emma Felbermeyer's having a bit of a duel down the Formula 1 straight as well. Dueling it out with one of the XL drivers into turn 1. That's Joseph Smith that she's dueling with. Joseph Smith fancies his chances up the crest. Well, really exciting to see how it battles again. Down to the hairpin at turn 5. And then on to the long back straight. This is where the toe is really going to be valuable. There is the duel between Theo Palmer and Alba Larsen, and Palmer has got ahead. Right, here's where the toe is so precious. Down the back straight between 5 and 6. Cotti's got a good charge here on Maccagnani. 6 minutes to try and do something about the man in front. And Emily Cotti really determined to get her first win overall in F4. Lots of battling as Larsen is really in the middle of a hard place there, and there's contact. Alba Larsen gets kicked out there, and there could be some big damage to her car from that one. We'll have to see. With 6 minutes to go, you can see it's an absolute squabble heading to turn 1. Larsen still holds it and off the road to try and get through. 4 wide into the first turn. 74 makes the bid. That's Verka Lantsev going off track to make the move on the inside. When was the last time you saw 4 wide at that corner? Amazing racecraft. These guys are up for the scrap. Alba Larsen drifts wide and loses ground there on the exit of the W Hotel. She falls to the back of the quartet. But what a sensational duel. 4 wide into turn 9. I've not seen that before in F4. Fantastic from the UAE4 series drivers. So Maccagnani still leads the way from Cotti and Craigie, and they're all very close still. Zhang, Aksoy, Bondarev, Consani, Incident involving 83 and 14 under investigation by the stewards. That's Jaber Al-Sabah and Alba Larson. That was at the last corner. There is Larson, and she's absolutely got the boxing gloves out now as she rows round the outside of Jacoba Martinez. K-Mag taught her well. Through the crest, down the drop, and up towards turn 5 again, and they're still going at it. Hammer and tongs up the inside. A couple more choice maneuvers. Martinez dives in on Larson. Behind them, we've got the likes of Felbermeyer, Smith, Hattimer, Shimek. They're all over the shop as they come off the turn, and now they're going to utilise the toe again. Who's going to get to the braking zone first? This is Skittles, not racing cars. Fantastic work. As wheel to wheel, that's Cosma and Lindblom. Here we go to the braking zone. Larson's in a rock and a hard place, trying to go around the outside of Martinez with a big challenge up the inside from the XL, as there goes the Trident across the apron. And that's Felbermeyer getting squeezed by Bader Al Sulaiti with the 17 rocking up to the battle. That is the hard charging Yaz Heat driver. Zachariah Delay getting in the mix of it. Fantastic to see everybody. Oh, and that's an abandoned car. That's the XL, and it's on the racing line. That is a guaranteed safety car. There's no way we're going to be under green flag conditions much longer. With that car abandoned on the course, I'm trying to make out which driver it is. But at the moment, it's Academic. They're still racing at the moment. It's the 23 that's abandoned. So that is the car belonging to Brock Burton, the Australian. So Brock Burton is stationary at turn 8. Yellow flag at 7, of course. And with that car now stationary and abandoned at the scene, I got a feeling that in just a few seconds' time, we'll be at safety car conditions. So currently, Macagnani leads the way with Cotti and Craigie in close proximity. Look at this dueling. Larson and Smith. Smith is going to go right round the outside as they bang wheels. And Joseph Smith hangs on in there. So does Larson. She's not going to get pushed around any, is she? Fantastic. And there's the safety car call. Well, that was to be expected. Oh, Brock Burton was still in the car, I'm told. My apologies. I thought Brock Burton wasn't in the car. So Brock Burton was in the car. He's got it going again. Annoyingly, the safety car was already called. That's just the way. That's just the way, isn't it? And so the reason for the safety car is now gone. Oh dear, it's one of those races, isn't it? Well, we've got Macagnani at the head of the queue. Cotti in second. Third is Craigie. Then Jung, Aksoy, Bondarev, Konsani, Lindblom, Cosma and Alazari. And we've got 2 minutes to go. So with the incident that brought us under safety car conditions already cleared, thanks to Brock Burton, able to move his car, we should get a one-lap sprint to the flag, because by the time the safety car has gathered the field up, we'll have run out of time. Into the pits comes the 26. That's the Yaz Heat, missing a front wing. That's Eduardo Iacobucci. So Eduardo Iacobucci appears to be in dire straits. He's still on the lead lap, so if he can come into the pits and change the front nose, he can go out again and join the back of the queue and still pick up some places from this race. But it doesn't change the fact that he's in a rather awkward position. So we've got Macagnani, Cotti and Craigie in the top 3, looking good for podiums overall here. Excellent stuff. Kingsley Jung 4th, Alpak Soy 5th, and then Alexander Bondarev in P6 from Adi Konsani, Skopkin Lindblom and David Cosma. We're going to see a replay of this unbelievable 4-wide scrap. Look, Verkalantsev, Larson, and then we've got the Evans GP. I think that is the 88. The 83 is in the mix there as well, so the 2 of those guys getting involved in it. That's Thomas Ingram Hill on the far side, and in the middle we had Larson and Jaber Al-Sabah. 4 wide. Absolutely incredible. Verkalantsev, Larson, Al-Sabah and Ingram Hill. Crazy racing. Look at it. It's absolutely a pack of dogs being let out of the sack as they just race around scrapping for it. This is how close it got to a nasty incident between Bader Al Sulaiti and Emma Felbermeyer. Zachariah Delay got in that one as well. Larson versus Smith. This is proper aggressive stuff from Joseph Smith. Banging wheels with Larson as he went through. Great racing. That's what you always get at this level. The time ticks down to 0. We're waiting for the leader to start the final lap. By my math, Brock Burton has been cleared, so safety car is in at the end of this lap. We're going to get a one-lap sprint. Hope you've got a decent seat. I've got a feeling you're only going to need the edge of it for this last sprint lap. So now we have got the time down to 0. This is all on Macagnani, Cotti and Craigie. Can they seal the podium they're locked in for at the moment? Will one of the drivers behind them pick up the pieces? This restart is critical for Macagnani. Cotti getting very close indeed to the Italian. Oh, goodness me, nearly striking the back of his car. We wait for the restart from Macagnani. Now he goes for it out of the chicane. That's better from Macagnani. Cotti's going to be in the tow, but not close enough to challenge as they go down the main straight. And it's one more time to go green, 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 green here at Yas Marina. Cotti in the tow of Macagnani. Closing, closing. This is more like it. We're going to get a couple of battles into turn 9, I think. Everybody's still fighting their quarter as they run through. Macagnani still leads it from Cotti and Craigie. Then Jung, Aksoy and Bondarev. The 3 Mumbai Falcons could go to battle. As everybody works their way through. Oh, Kaylee Countryman in the wall. Kaylee Countryman in the wall on the approach to the finish line. And that's a big one. And into the pits as well has come the 23 of Brock Burton. Red flag, red flag. Well, that means the race is declared. It will not continue and it will not resume. So Niccolo Macagnani takes the victory in race 2 ahead of Emily Cotti and Kenzo Craigie. What a dramatic second race. That had pretty much everything you can expect from a crazy day at the races. We had a delayed start, we had a big accident into turn 1, we had 2 safety car periods that then became 3. Let's have a look and see what happened. Look down the line. We're gonna have to pick up Kaylee Countryman in the pinnacle. Oh my goodness! That's a miscommunication, big star between the back markers. Unfortunately, Kaylee Countryman was spat out of the queue. Very unfortunate for the racer from Chandler, Arizona. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Well, that means then that the race is finished. It will not continue. It will be declared, and we are waiting now for the drivers to bring it in to pit lane. And it's great news for Niccolo Macagnani, Emily Cotti, and Kenzo Craig. Ferrari Jr. picks up his first win of 2026 for the Mumbai Falcons team, who maintain their 100% UAE4 series win record in the second race of the year. But it's a double podium for Race GP. Emily Cotti, her best ever result, 2nd place. Very smart work indeed from the 16-year-old from Chichester. And it's not only a double Race GP podium, it's a double British podium, because Emily Cotti is 2nd, and Kenzo Craigie, the new boy, is in 3rd. Great start to the season for Race GP. Excellent start to the season for Mumbai Falcons. So back into the pits we go, and that is all she wrote. Niccolo Macagnani, the Italian, in the Ferrari Junior Camp, brings it home to 1st position. Emily Cotti in a fantastic 2nd place. All the pressure on her to let it slip, and she would not budge. In fact, if anything, if we'd have had a bit more green flag running, I think she had the pace to challenge for the win. Kenzo Craigie fighting beautifully into 3rd position. Who knows, if we'd have stayed green, he could well have done that. So out of the car, and it's a 1st victory of the season for the Italian, Niccolo Macagnani. This is a man you're going to hear a lot of in 2026. He's just getting started. Great result for Mumbai Falcons. They take 2 wins out of 2. Out of the car gets Emily Cotti and Kenzo Craigie, the Race GP teammates, 2nd and 3rd for them. And very deservedly so as well. You can argue and say, oh, it's only a reverse grid result. No, it isn't. It's part of the rules and regulations. They know what's at stake. And I've witnessed many a driver go from the front row of the grid and plunge backwards down the field. Not Emily Cotti. Deserved. Totally deserved. So Nicolo Maccagnani takes the win from Emily Cotti and Kenzo Craigie. Kingsley Jung and Alpak Soy from Alexander Bondarev and Andy Konsani. Scott Kin-Lindblom, David Kozma and Adam Alazari round out the top 10. Behind them, it's Theo Palmer from Elia Weiss, Vladimir Vakalantsev and Jaber Al-Sabah, Thomas Ingram Hill and Jacopo Martinese from Jarrett Clark and Joseph Smith, then Alba Larsen and Florentin Hatema from Dominic Shimek and Zachariah Delay, then Beda Al-Sulaiti and Emma Felbermeyer from Bernardo Benoldi, Shabel Abi Gabriel, Ben Ewing, Tamas Genda, Lucas Pasquinetti and Ryushu Nakazato from Nasser Al-Thani, Eduardo Iacobucci, and then the retirements. And there were 6 of them in total. But it's a fabulous first win of the season for this man, Nicolo Maccagnani, under the watchful gaze of Jock Clear and Marc Genet. That's an amazing start to the season for Nicolo Maccagnani, the first of quite probably many.
Podium ceremony for the 2026 UAE4 Series Round 1 on the circuit race 2. And what a fantastic result for our three drivers.
To the podium. In third position, and our Rookie Cup winner for the United Kingdom, Kenzo Craigie. A great start for Kenzo, still in his debut car racing season. Great to see him grab silverware in his first weekend. In second position, also for the United Kingdom, Emily Cotti. A best ever result in the category for Emily, and surely the first of many silverwares she'll pick up. But in first position for Italy, Nicolo Maccagnani. A great start to 2026 for the Ferrari young driver. This is just going to be the first chapter in a groundbreaking season for the Italian stallion. Now it is my honor to invite Mr. Jonathan Wells, the motorsport manager for Pirelli Tyres in the Middle East, Africa, India region, to present the trophies to our drivers, starting with the man in third position for the United Kingdom and Race GP, Kenzo Craigie. And to our driver in second position for the United Kingdom and also for Race GP, Emily Cotti. And to our race-winning driver for Italy and Mumbai Falcons, Niccolo Maccagnani. And finally for the Rookies Trophy for Great Britain and Race GP, Kenzo Craigie. A hearty congratulations to all three of our rostrum contenders. Face forward for the pictures for our cameras, please. And our fantastic Race 2 podium finishers, richly deserved here at Yas Marina. And you can bet you're going to see these three drivers scoring a lot more trophies over the 2026 season. Great to see them all in such fantastic form here this weekend at Yas Marina. And now, of course, they get to celebrate in style on the rostrum, and they will go big, I'm sure, as our drivers here at Yas Marina in UAE4 will get busy with the fizzing. Congratulations to Kenzo, to Emily, and to Niccolo Maccagnani. Race 2 has been an exciting one, and they've got a third race later today here in UAE4 on the Yas Marina circuit. Next up is Formula Regional Middle East Trophy, but UAE4 will be back this afternoon for more of the same. See you in a bit.